Please enter your access code followed by the pound key. Please wait. Please wait while we prepare your files. Press 6 to fast forward for 1 minute. Press 4 to rewind for 1 minute. Press 5 to pause or resume.
All right. We want to welcome everybody to this Thursday night, August 23rd, Little Guy's First Initiative call. And we just started last week. Jeremy Jenkins and myself started working together on this. So we have a pretty call structured here for tonight. I'm actually going to turn the call over to Jeremy. Jeremy, as most of you know, is one of the top leaders within Newey Social, just a very professional individual that's a consummate professional, always on time, always producing different conference calls and information online to support the network. So when I first took a look at Newey, I was looking online to see who was saying what, and Jeremy was the one guy that really stood out to me, so I'm thrilled to get the chance to work with him. Jeremy, I'm going to turn the call over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. We appreciate you joining us tonight. As always, it is a pleasure to be able to talk about what we're doing with Newey and why we think it is the best thing since sliced bread. Kind of give you any updates that we may know about. But to do this call last week, Ed was able to interview me and give me a little bit about, or I was able to give some background about what I've been through and why I'm here and everything. So tonight we're going to switch roles, and I'm going to actually interview Ed, and we're going to find out what makes him tick and what his background is and why he's here and everything. Because, there's a reason. There's a reason that a gentleman like Ed Terranova, who's done it all, who, New York City firefighter and all these things, there's a reason he's here. He could be in a lot of different companies. He could be out, rocking it with any company that he wanted to, but he chose Newey Social, and there's a reason for that. So, Ed, why don't you tell us what you saw in Newey and what made you want to join us here?
Cool. So, first I'll kind of give you a history of myself, kind of my story as to how I got here. And I love conference calls like this because I think I sound young, right? As time goes by, my age doesn't sound young anymore. And, it was actually almost 29 years ago that my friend Vinny, this was back in 1989, February of 1989, my friend Vinny, who I went to high school with, and he had a concrete business. So my friend Vinny, who was in concrete, called me up and started telling me about a skincare company. And I'm like, Vinny, are you nuts? You want me to be a Mary Kay lady? No way, And he kept talking and he was trying to invite me to a meeting. And after about an hour, and he's a good friend, I just gave in. I said, okay, Vinny, I'll go to the meeting with you. And it was the first time I ever saw network marketing. As a matter of fact, at the time, I had a video production business. I was partners in a restaurant and catering business. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I've been a New York City firefighter. I'm retired from that. My wife has worked with a telephone company. And at that point in time, I had never seen network marketing. In fact, at that point in time, I was working so many hours, I didn't have time for anything. But I went to this meeting, and I saw on the whiteboard, it was kind of funny, right? A skincare company, you think all women. But I went to my friend Vinny, who was in concrete, invites me to this guy's house that was in air conditioning and refrigeration, and was sitting at his dining room table, and they have a whiteboard, and he says, hey, if you know 5 people that'll just do what you do, they join, right? And they tell us 5 other people, that's another 25 people. And if they told 5, that's another 125 people. And if they told 5, it's 625. And if they told 5, it's 3,125. And if you add it all up, you got about 4,000 people on your team. And if 75% of them quit, you still have 1,000 people. And if those 1,000 people just produced a business doing $100 a month, you'd have a $100,000 a month business. And in this company, you'd be making $14,000. And I just about right then said, sign me up. I mean, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even see the skincare products. The math just made sense to me. I thought to myself, why would anybody do this? I mean, you got to be crazy not to do this, right? So as I found out, it wasn't quite that easy. I think I was an easy mark. I was easy to sell. But back then, my dad didn't raise a quitter. Matter of fact, when I was growing up in high school, he was feeding me books like Winners Never Quit, Quitters Never Win by the great Vince Lombardi, and like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, where Napoleon Hill is famously quoted as saying, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, difference between focusing on the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, as opposed to focusing on what's wrong. And so I started, my dad was feeding me really good stuff, and I saw this industry where I was confused by it, and I was going to meetings, and I was meeting people that were making $10, $20, $30, $40,000 a month, and I got to meet them, talk to them, get their phone numbers, chat with them, and after about 9 months in that company, I got a big old check for $14.28. And my wife wanted to kill me. My wife was corporate America through and through. She said, Ed, you're a college graduate. You have businesses you run. You're wasting your time here. These people have sold you a pie in the sky, type of thing. This is you're Ralph Cramden. And Debbie and I didn't really see eye to eye on this industry at that point in time. And it got to a point where it got pretty tough. And here I am in our new house in our basement here. And back then I was in our house in our basement, and I had a little office down there. And Debbie was putting a lot of pressure on me to quit, and I didn't want to quit, and I didn't want to jeopardize our marriage either. So I was on my knees, crying like a baby, and I said, Lord, I can't handle it. Please take this burden away from me. I don't want to quit. I don't want to get a divorce. And through divine intervention, within 4 months in that company, I was making over $7,000 a month. And once the money started rolling in, my wife has this famous saying with me and my entrepreneurial spirit. She says, just show me the money. Like Jerry Maguire, right? Say in cash. Don't tell me about it. Just say in cash. And so we started making money. And once you have success in network marketing, other people want to introduce you to other things that they're doing. And so throughout the course of the last 29 years, I've had some pretty good successes. I've been able to spearhead organizations that have grown into tens of thousands on numerous occasions, built organizations throughout the United States and over 65 different countries, traveled the world, been on advisory councils, worked inside of corporate, outside of corporate. I just love the industry. I love the positive growth and development of the industry, but it's kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? There's some really good things about it, but then there's some really bad things about it, and there's some really ugly stuff about it. And one day I'm going to write a book with that title, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Network Marketing. But I say all that to you guys because I'm very well experienced. And so throughout the years, a couple of years ago, I was developing a system to vet out network marketing companies, to actually to measure them on a scale as to how they would fit you in your current set of circumstances, how to grade them. And after I created this whole grading process and started doing that and created some YouTube videos, I realized that it really comes down to a very simple thing. I used to have a 5-point presentation and a 5-point evaluation system where you evaluate the company, the product, the timing, the compensation plan, the training and support. Those are the 5 points. And I'd run them all on a scale of 1 to 10, average them out, have a point system, and see who fares well. And a lot of stuff goes into that. I don't want to bore you with it. But really, after it was all said and done, I said, you know what? The first question people have to ask themselves is, will the product stand on its own? Is the product that something people in the marketplace want? Is it something that people would want to participate in or buy or purchase if there wasn't an opportunity with it? And that's a critical question. Would you buy it? Number two, would the average person want it? Number two, would you buy it yourself? And so what I've found in network marketing is that there's a lot of great companies out there. There are companies that do multiple billions of dollars in sales. You got Amway, Shakti, Herbalife, Houston, Mary Kay Cosmetics. We could go on and on. At today's pace, there's over 20 companies that do over $1 billion a year. So it's an incredibly huge industry, network marketing. Yet the pitfall is attrition, right? People get excited and join companies. And after about 3 to 6 months, and by the way, guys, these are industry averages. The industry averages, the customer longevity is only about 6 to 8 months. As somebody who joined, they get excited to try a product, and then after 6 to 8 months, if they're not making money, if they're not in a profitable situation, generally speaking, they just stop buying that product, right? And that always disturbs me, because you create this thing that I call a revolving door syndrome, where it churn and burn, where people join and people quit, people join and people quit, people join and quit, people quit. And if people are quitting faster than they're joining, your check is going down, your business is going down. And I wanted to create a solution to that. So fortunate for me, probably about, I think it was back in 2013, about 5 years ago, I had a pretty big title with the company. I was So I was in the top 20 for the longest time. I was in the top 5 in that company. I was on the advisory council. I was one of the top trainers in the company, and I had a huge organization. And it was a good company. It was a really good company. But then I got to look at something that Richard Smith and Troy Muhlsing had founded, and I loved one of the pieces to it. I loved a big part of it. And it was more in line with the average person succeeding. And it was more in line with the goal that I saw at Newey Social, which was to help 1 million people, 1 million families earn at least $500 a month. And in that company, they had a very simple system to make $500 a month. And Jeremy was in that company, and I was in that company, and we did real well with that company. So I kept tabs on things, and I watched what was happening. And when I started to talk to Richard about where this company was at, and it was moving into the blockchain arena, those are buzzwords that really didn't mean a lot to me because I didn't understand it. I was naive. As a matter of fact, I wasn't a believer. If you talked to me September of last year, I wasn't a believer in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain and mining. I was really novice. I didn't know much at all, to be honest with you. And so Richard opened up my eyes, and I looked at Newey Social, and I got really excited. In fact, he had sent me a podcast by a guy named Mike Dillard, who's very successful, and he had interviewed a guy named Tika Tiwari, who today is one of the foremost authorities on cryptocurrency. And that's when the light bulb went off for me. And I called up Richard. This was actually, I spoke to Richard on Halloween of last year. And I said, Richard, get me in. We got to get this thing going. I mean, this thing's going to happen, and we're in it before everybody knows about it. Because Richard has this phrase that, find out where the world is going and get there first, right? And I like to say the secret, if you want to call it a secret, is to get involved before the whole world knows about it. Position yourself in front of the masses before the masses react. So that's what I saw here, guys. And it's very, I'm going to send it back to you, and you tell me where you want me to go. But that's where we're at, guys. We're in a position to participate with a company that is in alignment with an industry that is emerging, that most people don't understand or are totally unaware of. So I'll send it back to you, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, so obviously, awesome history, lots of experience. You and me come from similar backgrounds. And I was just thinking about the conversation we had a couple days ago, I think it was, and we were discussing, our opinion on, just the new trends, right? The new trends in the world and marketing and everything. And obviously, cryptocurrency, blockchain, everything is one of them. But the other one that has just been fascinating to me is this whole concept of, the freemium model or what you could call the Netflix model, just kind of what all these different companies are doing nowadays. The Amazon Prime model, right, where they know that if they offer something good for free, right, you can get a whole bunch of people involved, right? So it's the whole idea of like Angry Birds, right? If you guys remember that game that you can download on your phone or your iPad or whatever, and you think, oh, well, if I go and get the Angry Birds free version, right, and I start playing it, and I get addicted to it, I like it, and then all of a sudden, now I'm going to be willing to pay whatever it is, I think we charge 99 cents, right, or maybe it's $5 now, whatever it is, and so the company is banking on that, right? They know they're going to get a gazillion free members playing it, and then if they can just monetize 1% of that, right, they're going to just make all this money. And that's what Amazon Prime does. In Amazon, they offer their stuff, and if I can just get 1% of our subscriber base to upgrade and do the $99 or $120 a year annual thing on it, boom, they just made bank. And Netflix, right? Netflix put Blockbuster out of business. Why? Because they only charge, what is it now? Probably like $12 a month, right? You get unlimited everything. But then, they have upgrades, and they have all these different things. When we're talking about a way for us here at Newey to be able to have success and to be able to help the little guy, one of the things that we were waiting for so long was the Newey free enrollment, right? So, Ed, can you tell us a little bit about, your thoughts, what we were talking about regarding the little guy, why we even call this, the little guy or the Big Shot Initiative? What are your thoughts on that?
Awesome. So, Jeremy, you're just triggering off in my mind so many great stories So before I answer that question, I'm going to give you the background to it. Being in the industry, having developed relationships and with a lot of top people within the industry, what I found was that throughout the history, when you talk about the good, bad, and the ugly of network marketing, companies have gone and companies have gone and gone, and some have stuck, right? So when you talk about the freemium model, and then you talk about what I call the low entry model, where the little guy fits in. So what we're getting ready to release is the membership at $15 a month, right? People could still pay the $150 annually. It's cheaper to go $150 annually, but $15 a month, which totals up to $180 for the year, gives people a very easy ramp to get started where they're actually getting the product and also can participate in the network marketing aspect and build a team, right? So the membership allows you to get into the TDS. And then what also is going to be coming out with is a New Educate piece. That's a $15 product that will activate us. But the reason for those price points and why I love those price points and why I love the free, let's start out with free. When it comes down to free, there are, you and I was talking about certain companies in the industry that got hammered because of a large amount of money up front, and specifically not really having a true distribution base. Now, Amway fought their battles, and Herbalife fought their battles. And as a matter of fact, I was in a boardroom one day with, and I'll mention his name, Jerry Nera. Jerry Nera at one time was the chief counsel at Amway. I was the national marketing director of the company, and we spent the whole day together, had lunch, dinner together, and we had some great conversation. And Jerry said to me, Ed, I advise company owners on what to do. They don't always do it. He says if they just had 5 customers for every 1 rep, they'll never run into a problem with a pyramid in stature. So long as they have 5 customers with just 1 rep. And I remember Harlan Stonecipher, who was the founder of Prepaid Legal, being interviewed on CNN. And they said, we know you're an affiliate type model. And they asked him point blank, how many members do you have for every affiliate you have? And Harlan was proud to say we have a 6-to-1 ratio. We have 6 customers for every 1 rep. Well, when I was out there in Utah, one of the things I put on my scope of work was to help this company develop one of the highest customer to rep ratios the industry has ever seen. It initially just started out at about 21 and grow to about 100 customers for every 1 rep. And the free product makes that happen, guys, because people will get in the system. They'll be able to get dripped on. They'll be able to experience if they can come in for free. And so that allows us to create a legitimacy beyond anything that I've ever seen. The highest ratio I ever saw was with a company in the telecom industry where they had a 22-to-1 ratio. I believe with our model, we have the potential to build out the largest customer to rep ratio we've ever seen. So people can come in. Now, personally, I would come in at the member level at the $15 membership with the $15 product. For just $30, anybody can get started, right? But you have a fallback on the free membership where the people could come in and test the waters and try. And that allows us to market to a group of people to grow as we start talking about, Jeremy, I don't know if you're going to do the 5 pillars, but when we start talking about 4, I'll go into that in more detail later. But that's where we're going to get people to become customers, loyal customers that are on the books, that are producing volume. And the bigger we get, the better it gets. The bigger we get as a network, the more people we have, as we grow from thousands to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. When you get into the millions of customers, that's when you really have purchasing power. That's when people really want to be able to take their product and put it in front of the eyeballs of your network. That's when core is going to be able to scream with incredible value. And so when we move into the $15 range, what I've always found is this. I'm a very simple-minded person. And whenever somebody looks at an opportunity, there are 2 predominant thoughts that go through your mind. Number 1, how much is it? Right? How much they're going to present me something? How much do they want me to spend? And number 2, can I do this? Is this something that I want? Is there a simple duplicatable system that we could just introduce people and they would want to try it? And so if you answer those 2 things, correctly, the low $15 entry point or the $30 entry point allows people to get started right away. And then as Jeremy, points out greatly, is that unlike a lot of other companies, there are some companies where you don't even get into the money until you bring in 3 people or 5 people. Here, you bring in just 1 person, and you're earning a residual income. And if they're coming in at the same price point as you are, you're earning 33%, actually a little bit better than that because of the override. It's like 35%. So when you get 3, it's actually better than free. So that's the key for what we're going to be coming out with, guys. And the beauty about it is we didn't even start it yet. This thing didn't even start yet. And so I'm really excited. I'm like a little kid in a candy store. Just can't wait to get my hands on that stuff, because when we do, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we're going to be putting on some serious numbers very rapidly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's so cool. It's just like if you ever saw that movie, The Social Network, about the beginnings of Facebook, you see what they did, right? They went out, they created something, and they just started signing up a whole bunch of free people. And it was just free, right? And they had a ticker, and they celebrated. They had this great big giant party once they signed up their millionth person, right? It was huge. And at the time, they had no idea how they were going to monetize it. All they knew was that they were signing people up left and right for free. It was exciting, right? And then they went and figured it out. And like, oh, okay, we can do an advertising play here. I believe Twitter, they're still trying to figure out how they're going to monetize all the millions of people they have, right? But we've got it figured out. We already know how people can make money here. That's the coolest thing about what Nui has that I've ever seen, and very attractive, is that a free individual can make money. I mean, find me any other company on the planet where the free person can actually make money without having to buy anything. It doesn't exist. And yet, here we have it. I've got one guy, he's actually, I think he's in Panama, might be South America somewhere, can't remember exactly. But so here he is, a Latino guy, and he has a little business where they buy a whole bunch of stuff through Alibaba, right? If you guys know what Alibaba is, it's the Chinese version of Amazon, basically. And so it's just huge, right? They've got, and you can go to AliExpress actually, and it's part of our retail rewards program. So in Nui Social, through Core, we have the retail rewards program, and this guy, because of his business that he already has down there in South America, he's going crazy. He's getting so many points, you wouldn't believe it. He loves it just because he's been shopping at Alibaba for years, and now all of a sudden he gets to get all the cash back. And so it is so amazing to me that by doing stuff we already do, right? Whether we're shopping at Walmart, we're shopping at Best Buy, whatever it is we're shopping at, we can use that retail rewards. We can get those cash back points. We can go on there and do downloads that we're probably going to do anyway. Do some of those surveys. Just while you're sitting, waiting for an airplane at the airport, or if you're waiting for somebody while you're at a restaurant or whatever, just get on there and do a survey or two, right? And now all of a sudden you're getting paid. That is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And we can monetize that for free, right? And then of course people will get addicted and they'll want to upgrade to the $15 or whatever and go from there. So very, very fun. So Ed, let's go ahead and talk about the 5 pillars real quick. So when we're talking about this whole monetization thing, we're saying, you're going to get those points and stuff. Tell us, how does that work? What's the first pillar?
Well, here's the cool thing about it is each pillar is a stream of income in and of itself. And, one of the things that has attracted people is the idea and the terminology multiple streams of income, right? Everybody would love to have multiple streams of income, but very few people do. They have no clue. Well, built underneath this structure, we call it the 5 pillars, because if you look at a stately structure that has, these Grecian columns, these 5 Roman columns, right? These 5 pillars that are holding up the roof, which is Nui Social, and the foundation is built on the blockchain. So we have this incredibly dynamic structure built on the blockchain, and each one of these pillars. So the first one, which we started talking about, is core, and we spent a little bit of time in there. But like you said, Jeremy, people can actually earn money. I mean, I just love the acronym: compensated on real effort. Compensated on real effort. Can you imagine what this can grow? I mean, just think about focus groups. Just think about companies that want to get opinions from people. They spend a lot of money to run information. So we have this demographic that's going to run from kids in their teenage years millennials all the way to the baby boom generation and beyond. So we have this incredible diversified, and that's what we have, guys. That's what we have in Dewey Social. Is we have this incredibly diversified group of people, a target audience. And the bigger it gets, the better it gets. You're going to hear me say that 1,000 times. The bigger it gets, the better it gets. It's purchasing power, right? The more people we have joining, the more people want to get their products in front of us. And they'll create special deals. They'll pay to get our people who are doing it for free, right? We have people in Latin America, all over the world. We'll have people in the Philippines. We'll have the most diversified group of people that are interested in doing things on their computer, on their phone, and get rewarded points for it. And so as we grow, it's going to be phenomenal. So that is the essence of core. And as we incorporate, we first get started. Where we're at right now with the blockchain and with the cryptocurrency and the collar rig, it's pretty well diversified. But I kind of look at it as Amazon bookstore, right? When Amazon first started, Jeff Bezos knew what he wanted. He wanted an everything store, but his best starting point was to master the bookstore. And when his parents looked at his model, his parents wanted to help him. They were willing to invest $100,000 in that startup. And Jeff told his parents, I want you to know 70% chance we're going to fail. I don't want you to throw away your money here. I'm telling you, 70% chance we're not going to make it. He was being honest with his parents. Well, they were his parents. They invested. Now they're multi-billionaires because of it, right? And I kind of look at our model in a similar fashion. Is that we're just getting started with creating something new. But for those of us who buy into it, for those of us who are accumulating collar, right? Collar is not even on an exchange yet. Collar is just an idea. For those of us who were the pioneers and bought the first round of rigs, people who buy rigs right now, people who start mining for collar and start accumulating collar, whether it be through core activities or anything other. Every single pillar we're going to talk about, which is built on the blockchain, will be transferred in and out of collar. And when you understand transactional volume and what's going to make our ecosystem validated is that transactional volume of our own cryptocurrency called collar. And so it starts out, in core. And then we can move on from there. Do you want to go into Mintage?
Yeah. So core and collar, those are kind of the first two. And we kind of beat that one to death. So let's go on to Mintage. Let's talk about why Mintage is so amazing.
So Mintage is integrated. I mean, Mintage actually facilitates, the development of the collar rigs, which is the last column, which is the hardware. So first column is core activity. Second column is Mintage. And Mintage has numerous different options. What appealed to me when we first looked at Mintage was the fact that my wife and I were in contract on this house, and it was a pre-construction, and we put our house up for sale last April, and within 10 days we had a buyer, and we closed on it in June. So we had the equity in that house to put in the bank, and my wife's really good at money. She's my chief financial officer. She looked around for the best price. She's not risky like me. She wanted something safe, so she went to a bank and got 1%. Then about 3 months later, she says, "Ed, I found another bank that we could get 1.25%." So we shifted this lump sum of money out of one account, one bank, into another account, and that was at 1.25% annual. So if you look at our 3-year product, it's averaging about 1.4% weekly, right? And then when you look at the possibilities of some of the other stuff that we're doing, there is an opportunity that really is very attractive in the marketplace for people to invest. Now, when you start getting educated on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, blockchain, and the future of it, people that have money are willing to, put in. And most of the top Pitochelli specifically, and most of the top people, James Altucher, when you start hearing these names, you start learning about the industry, there are some people that are very astute, business people that are some of the best enthusiasts and advisors in the world. And they pretty much all say the same thing. Don't risk your entire life savings. As a matter of fact, they talk about just a couple $100 here or there. But if you really want to go after it, the most they recommend is 5 to 10% of your investment capital to go into a cryptocurrency realm. So there are people that are looking for something, and and it's kind of like a safe play. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to invest in equipment. You don't have to, for me, when I first started in this, ran into a guy I became friends with. He's a real estate broker, and he had these Ethereum rigs. And he showed me a picture of his garage. We had $130,000 worth of Ethereum rigs. And November of last year, he boasted that he made $5,000 in Ethereum coin. Back then, well, that was a really good month for him. But see, he's an entrepreneur, and he believes in cryptocurrency. So there are a lot of people out there where Mintage, will be something very attractive to them. And regardless of where you start or how you grow it, that's a viable income stream because we earn 10% on the personal enrollees, whatever they put in on an initial buy or a rebuy, and we earn 2% on 10 tiers in our TBS there. So Core's got income flowing up to it. Mintage has income coming up to it, and then there's Kala, which is the center column, which I believe is the lifeblood of new social opportunity. And as we really fill out this ecosystem that is completely built, you're going to be able to buy it, you're going to be able to sell it, you're going to be able to earn it, you're going to be able to spend it. And that creates an ecosystem unlike anything out there. And that will create, for the Kala coin, an extraordinarily special story that will attract a lot of people. So that's column 3. And then column 4 is actually all the hardware. So those of us who have rigs, are really excited because every day we go in and we're earning thousands of Kala every day. So the people who right now we're in our second round, our second phase of introduction. So it's still very early on in the game where it becomes a pretty enticing or interesting, interesting purchase. And then we're going to have the Kala routers and anything that develops in blockchain. That's where you really want to think about this column of hardware. That anything that develops within blockchain will be an increasingly ever expanding model where we can expand into other coin offerings. We can expand into software, hardware. The sky's the limit. But that column right there is our hardware. I call it our rig. And then the fifth column is the team building structure. And being a guy who has drafted compensation plans and been on advisory councils, and I have my fingerprints on numerous companies' comp plans. Whenever you want to talk about the comp plan, I can go off on the comp plan there.
Before we talk about the TBS, real quick, one of the questions here in the room is, well, what is the best way to sign up a new member who wants to buy a rig? What would you say to that?
Well, now we just made the announcement that anybody can buy a rig, right? So I would say come in where you fit it. We have these 5 packages. There's a premium package. For me, my focus is on the little guy. We call this the little guy initiative, the little guys first, because I believe that I live by you'll hear me quote Zig all the time. And Zig's philosophy is a very simple one, and I run my entire business life based on it, and that is this: you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. So by helping other people succeed, you succeed. By helping other people achieve their goals and dreams, you achieve your goals and dreams. And so when somebody first starts out in any network marketing opportunity, the first thing they want to do is become profitable. And the easiest way and the fastest way to become profitable within New Social is at the member level, where you personally introduce just 3 people, and it's better than free. You're making more money than you're spending. And so that's what I would recommend. I know that the freedom is going to attract some people too, but the one thing that you don't get with the free position is you're not able to build a team. So we're going to be teaching people how to build a team. We're going to be teaching the things that companies have paid me thousands upon thousands of dollars to fly around the world and speak in front of audiences in the hundreds and sometimes in the thousands and teach them the techniques of how to do that. And we're going to do that for free. Jeremy and I together, we're going to work. We're going to be training. We're going to be dropping gems. We're going to be giving you stuff here, and that member position allows you to build. So that's what I recommend people get started. But if you're not ready and you want to just test the waters, then I say, great, grab a free position, explore the product, start doing core activities, earn some points, see how it works, and when you're ready to upgrade to a member and build a team, we're here to help you do that.
Awesome. And then one other thing about the hardware that I really love is that is what makes us compliant. That's one of the big things that's going on right now is compliance and are we legal and what is the SEC and the FTC and all those regulators and everybody, what are they looking for, right? What do they want to see to make sure that we're legal, that we're not going to have problems? And that hardware component is that, right? So it's pretty awesome.
So let me address that a little bit. Let me address that a little bit, Jeremy, if I can. So as you study this incredible industry, what you're going to find is that you'll hear the top people, the two names that I mentioned, Pitochelli and James Altucher, they all say the same thing, that 5 years from now, 95% of these coins won't be around. As a matter of fact, on a shorter-term basis, if you just look at last year, all the coins that were introduced in 2017, over 50% of them are gone already, right? So over a 2-year span, 90% of them are gone. And so, we're already starting to prove that we've lasted this long, right? That we are for real. And I love the fact that our company is engaged with the top lawyers, the top authorities, within the regulators, and helping craft that, really having a goal to become the standard bearer of what is compliant. So yes, that's a big part of what we can do is help facilitate and build our own functional blockchain that just makes us squeaky clean because it has the intrinsic value and has the ability to help companies that come partner with us, achieve their objectives, which is so far removed from fraud or illegal or a pyramid type of things that get red flags and get shut down. So we're in the process of building that arc that people will look at and say that's the way you do it right. And so that's a real exciting thing for us to be a part of.
Perfect. All right. So last pillar. So the TBS. Now, just a little background on TBS. Team building structure. It is a 3x10 matrix, and it was created by our founders, Richard Smith and Troy Muhlestein. They came up with this together. And if you guys really wanted to research and find out who is the best comp plan writers on the planet, Richard Smith, one of our founders, he's right up there. He would humbly say he's in the top 5. I'd say he's the number 1 guy. His previous comp plan that was it was the best thing I'd ever seen about 5 years ago when I was first introduced to it. It is now been copied and redone by over 12 different companies, and now Richard's on to his next and greater thing, which we call this team building structure. And the reason for that is because it's not something that is socialistic, as he likes to say. It's synergistic, right? A lot of comp plans, unfortunately, they're socialistic, which means that people, they expect stuff, right? They expect other people to do it for them. I remember in a traditional comp plan, it was just a standard matrix, and I kept waiting for people to build and do it for me, right? I kept waiting for that spillover. That was one of the major things in the industry that people would say was, just come in, and we've got this big leader, this big builder, he's going to put in all these people underneath you and stuff. And I never saw it, right? I never saw the spillover. And so I just went in, I paid for a couple months, waited for my spillover, and then when I didn't get it, I was out, right? I was done. Because that was socialistic. I was waiting to get something for nothing. And with this comp plan, this TBS that Richard has put together, it's synergistic because we are going to get, spillover, we are going to get benefits and everything, but we have to do our part. And that's what I love about it, is that it actually incentivizes people to go out and say, I need to actually do this. I need to unlock my tiers so that I can participate and actually not leave money on the table. So Ed, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about why this is so awesome and your feelings about our amazing comp plan.
Yeah, I would echo everything that you said about Richard. I mean, that Richard's the reason why I'm here, and his ideas just fit into another part of my core competency and value system, and that is it's got to be fun, simple, and fast. Just fun, simple, and fast. And that's this comp plan. Comp plan is so simplistic. You're going to roll 1, you unlock 1, 2. You roll 2 tiers, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10. You can roll 10 people that are active, that are in the system, and you're tapping into all 10 tiers. And now when you look at a 3x10 matrix, for somebody who's not familiar, you first get started and you start looking at the numbers, it's just this empty grid that has 3 positions underneath you, and each one of those has 3. So the second level has 9, and then they all have 3. The third level is 27, and then fourth is 81, and then 243, and then 729, and we should go all the way down to the 10th level, which has over 50,000 people. And when you combine it all, there's over 88,000. But the fact is that it's just a grid. And as you develop your organization, you place people in, the computer automatically looks from left to right, and first it works on the first leg, then the middle leg, the right leg, and if we go left to right, and then it comes back from right to left, and it drops some person in the first vacant spot on that first leg, the next person in that first vacant spot in the second leg, and then the next person. And so it just keeps going back and forth. It's an autofill, but it's better than anything I've ever seen because it's not actual levels. And so I've built in matrices, I've built in binaries, I've built in breakaways. I'm very familiar and very well versed in comp plans. And there are some that are better than others, in my opinion. There are some that have pitfalls. And when I look at this one, I don't see any pitfalls. I'm like, this is ingenious. Why? Because the pitfalls traditionally in a matrix is that most of them cut off at a certain period. Like if you look at our 3x10, you think below your 10th level. Now I've built in 10-level matrices where we had thousands of people join the team, and I had a whole bunch of people come in under my pay level. And so what this thing does is it's something called dynamic compression. It's called a tier instead of a level because it doesn't actually represent a level. So there's 55,000 positions on level 10, then how many would there be on level 11, right? If you multiply by 3, how many would be on level 12? You continue to multiply by 3. You can keep going, and it gets wider and wider and wider and wider. Guess what? You could tap in to the 11th, the 12th, the 15th, the 20th, the 100th, the 200th level because everything compresses up based on the qualification of the 10 tiers. And so, when you really build a sizable group here, Richard and I used to kid about this as to how much our top money earners are going to be made. So I'm going to make a ridiculous statement right now. Please do not allow this statement to motivate you, and do not allow this statement to diminish your thoughts about me when I say this. But in network marketing, the top money earners in the entire industry, and there's usually only a handful of them. Lately, there's been as many as 10, 15, 20 people that have reached this level. In network marketing, there are some people. Remember, forget that I said this. Don't look disparagingly about me when I say this. But the top people in the industry make over $1 million a month. I kind of equate it to being a famous actor or being a famous sports figure that gets paid tens of millions of dollars on an annual basis, right? There are a very select few. So when I look at a comp plan, I say, does this comp plan have that potential? And I want to tell you, this comp plan does have that potential. Sounds crazy and nuts, and I'm not saying that's going to happen for me or anybody else. Do I have a goal for myself? Yes, I have goals for myself. And the first goal is get 3 is better than 3. Then the next goal is get in this 3-digit club and start making over $100 a month residual. And then the next goal is that $500 club. Let's get into that $500 a month club. Then the next goal is the comma club. Let's get it where we're making over $1,000 a month. Then the next goal is let's get into the 5-figure club where you're making over $10,000. You can just keep going. And I'll do a whole other on really seeing how you can go, from being, 1,000-aire to being a millionaire, and even into a billionaire status. And a lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people have taboos about talking about money, and money is the root of all evil, and money doesn't fall from trees, and all that kind of stuff. Well, the scripture actually says the love of money is the root of all evil. But if you look at some of the greatest, prophets in the world, they were kings and priests, in the marketplace. And so I look at it a little bit differently. My dad taught me when I was young and going into my adulthood, and he said, Ed, and here's a real profound thing. He said, Ed, money makes good people better and bad people worse. Just think about that. He said, Ed, money will make good people better and bad people worse. So if you're a good person that wants to do good for others and have a lot of money, you can do a lot of good. So I kind of look at our TBS and say, well, where can we go with it? The sky's the limit.
Awesome. Exactly right. Yep, I love our comp plan. It makes it so simple. It's just easy to understand. 10 levels, divide it by 10. Have you unlocked the level, yes or no? Boom. You don't have to worry about, one of the big complaints I would get, especially with people outside the industry, they're like, I was in one once where, I built out this one leg and it just went, and it was this huge leg, and I didn't get paid on any of it because, you get paid on the weaker leg in a binary, right? And then and some of the other ones, it's like, it's a unilevel. So if you don't know how to recruit massively, and then you're not getting paid down the 4 levels on the unilevel, and so you're making squat, right? So it's most comp plans, they are built with breakage. They're built so that the company gets to keep most of the money and actually doesn't get to doesn't pay it out. With our comp plan, it's just very straightforward, very simple. You can actually legitimately say, hey, our comp plan pays out 66% because we know that. On a $15 ask, $5 goes to the company, $5 goes to the enroller, and $5 goes out to the matrix. So, yeah, the company's paying 66%. And there's no question on that. There's no, breakage in there. It just does it, right? And so that's what I love about our comp plan. It's just super transparent, straightforward, and of course, we know some things that are coming out with the new blockchain and other things that will potentially show up on blockchain, and you can't hide that, right? We'll be proud to say, hey, guess what? Our comp plan is actually on a blockchain. Where's yours? So that's going to be fun. I can't wait. Some of the great things that are coming. And we're kind of running out of time here, Ed. So why don't we go ahead and wrap it up? Any last thoughts before we close out?
Yeah, I just love for everybody to really get in the mindset that although we don't have an official time or date, that we're going to go live with the $15 membership, that we're kind of in pre-launch right now. This thing didn't even get started yet. And so to be in before the whole world knows about it, we're in a special place. So what I'm going to encourage everybody is, make sure you're sharing the concept, sharing the idea, but get ready to put your sprinter shoes on, because so goes the leader, so goes the pack. If you get excited and rush out the gate, and we want to know, as soon as this thing goes live, we want to put up, personally, I'm just sharing you from a coaching perspective, you want to put up your best numbers in your first 30 days. You can actually build an empire. Most of the successes that I've had were built in the foundation we built in those first 30 days. So what we do in those first 30 days, and when you talk about Kaizen, the Japanese principle that was written, as a matter of fact, when Lee Iacocca was with Chrysler and the Japanese auto industry started taking off, the concept was that if you put excellence into the beginning of anything, it tends to carry itself on. But if you put lackluster effort in at the beginning stages, you tend to have lackluster effort throughout. So we really get to dictate the speed and growth of our organization based on how we treat our first 30, 60, 90 days, right? And I call it sprint to 100. You want to sprint to showing 100 people what we have here. And you could do 2 a day for 50 days or 3 a day, for 33 days. If you want to sprint to 100 exposure, you want to show it to 100 people as quickly as you possibly can. 1 a day for 100 days, 2 a day for 50 days. And I'm going to leave you with this. One of my mentors in life who had an organization where he had 144,000 reps and 660,000 customers said to me, Ed, if you're going to do it, you're going to show it to 100 people. Why wait a year to show it to 100 people? Why not show it to 10 people in 10 days? Or 5 people for 20 days? Or 3 people for 33 days? You guys, that's getting off to a fast start. That's going after it at a sprinter's pace. And so as soon as this thing goes live, I encourage you to sprint to 100. That's my objective. That's my goal. That's my standard operating procedure. That's how we end up building very large teams very fast, is by leading by example. So goes the leader, so goes the pack.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Ed. Appreciate all your wisdom. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to doing this again with you next week. Maybe we can, we'll mix it up a little bit. Might have special guests on. We'll see what we can get. But again, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And if you have any questions, please reach out to the person that invited you to listen to this call. And remember, we do this every Tuesday and Thursday at the same time. And then, of course, on Saturdays, we have our webinar. You can sign up for that at newlylive.com and just register there. You'll get a reminder email. And this Saturday, we're going to be talking about some cool stuff. I'm going to go into detail about how you can basically make $1 per person on your team or more, right? And so we're just going to go into detail on that comp plan on the TBS. It's going to be fun. And but until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
God bless everybody.